Hello, everybody, and welcome back to IOSH Magazine Live. Before we crack on with our second session of the day, we understand a few of you missed the beginning of my introduction where I went through housekeeping for the day. So I'll quickly run through that now. So you'll find the chat area under the event tab on the right-hand side of your screen. This is a great space to connect and engage with other attendees, and you can also use it to contact the organisers if you experience any technical issues. If you need to step away at any point, don't worry. You can rejoin at any time by navigating back to the stage tab. Just remember to click play to restart the session. During each session, please use the Q&A feature under the stage tab to submit questions for our speakers. We've allowed 5 to 10 minutes at the end of each session for your Q&As, so please do utilise that because we'd love to hear from you. Also, if you see a question that you would like answered, simply click the thumbs up. There's a little icon there and that upvotes it, and then we know that people are really interested in hearing from the speaker on that specific subject. So if you'd like to turn on closed captions, you can do so by clicking the CC icon at the bottom of your screen. And just a reminder that all the sessions will be available in the replay area from tomorrow. So that's Friday, the 27th of March. And they'll be on there through to late June. So as a registrant, you'll be able to return and watch any sessions on demand. Before we get started, I'd like to say a huge thank you to our event sponsors, Notify, Posturite, HSI, Hands HQ, and ICEP. Their support has made today possible. And we'll also be hearing from each of these organisations throughout the day, so do be sure to look out for their sessions. And our next session is actually from one of our sponsors. It's Notify. And we'll be focusing on how AI is becoming part of everyday work in health and safety, as I'm sure you'll all be very, very aware. So this session will explore the differences between general AI tools and safety-specific solutions, hopefully helping you to understand where each adds value and how to make better, more informed decisions using your data. So I'm delighted to welcome Andy Dumbell, co-founder and CTO of Notify Technology, to talk us through this. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you, Kelly, and hi, everyone. Before I get into it, I'll just do a quick intro. As Kelly said, I'm CTO and co-founder at Notify Technology. We build health and safety software, which I'll talk about a bit more later on. My background is in technology. I've spent about 30 years building software products, and more recently, I've been spending a lot of time working in artificial intelligence, both in our product and more broadly. I also host a weekly podcast called the AI Breakdown, which covers AI developments for technology leaders. And I also host a safety-focused technology podcast called Safety Rewired. So I describe myself as a proper AI geek, and I'm deep into this topic. So most of us are already using tools like ChatGPT in some form, and there's real value in that. I personally use these general purpose AI assistants every day for a lot of things in both my work life and my personal life. On top of this, I also use purpose-built AI that's been built in to some of the software that I use frequently, whether it's when I'm writing code, creating a podcast, or trying to make my emails sound less like they were written at midnight. And I suspect a lot of you are in a similar boat here, but with safety software, trying to figure out what you can do with general purpose AI assistants like ChatGPT, and when it's worth considering purpose-built safety-specific AI solutions. Unfortunately, I might as well get this out of the way. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer for everyone. You'll all have different environments, different requirements, and different constraints. But what I can do today is share my perspective. I'll talk about where general purpose AI works well in safety, where it runs into challenges, and when it's worth exploring specialist AI-powered tools. Okay. I'm just flipping to the next slide here. There we go. So let me give you a sense of where things actually stand today. If we look at recent Verdantix research data, it says that 61% of EHS departments worldwide plan to expand their use of AI in the next year or so. So there's no surprises there. But for me, the more interesting finding is that more than half of those initiatives are still stuck in a pilot mode. They haven't scaled into operational use, so they're not adding value, they're not embedded. They're essentially just experiments running in a corner. And meanwhile, more than 900 million people each week are using ChatGPT. So what does that tell us? Well, for me, it highlights there's a gap. On one side, you've got formal AI initiatives in EHS that are moving slowly, things like pilots, evaluations, business cases, and so on. And then on the other side, you've got people in your teams who are already using ChatGPT. For example, it might be something simple like summarising an incident report. So they're not waiting for the strategy, they're getting on with it already. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does mean that AI adoption and safety isn't something that's coming. It's something that's already happening. The question is whether it's happening in a way that you're comfortable with. Now, let's talk about where general purpose AI assistants generally do well. From my own experience and from what I see in the teams I work with, tools like ChatGPT are really useful for content tasks like drafting toolbox talks, summarizing a long piece of HSE guidance. It could be structuring a training outline, turning rough notes into readable incident summaries, translating safety material into multiple languages, and things like generating checklists and templates. And you can use it as well for crunching through some of your data to try and pull out insights. And all of that is legitimate practical value. And you can make the output even better by giving these tools context. For example, you can upload your own procedures and policies and ask it to use those when preparing like a draft safety briefing. So that way, you're not starting from a generic answer. You're getting something that's more aligned with how your organization actually works. But the key term that I always come back to is this stuff is a starting point. These tools, what they give you is a great first draft, but someone with the right experience still needs to review it, check it, and own it. And when you get that collaboration right, AI doing some of the heavy lifting on the first pass and a human applying judgment, that's where you'll see some real time savings. Now, general purpose AI does have some real weaknesses that's worth being aware of, not so that you avoid using it, but you go in with your eyes wide open. So what does this look like? Well, there's 3 gaps that I want to talk you through today that I think are really important for health and safety specifically. And these aren't edge cases, they're structural limitations within the technology. So first up, we have no memory between conversations. So you can give ChatGPT your data, you can paste in an incident report, upload a risk assessment, share a procedure. You can even connect these tools with some of your systems so they can pull that data automatically. And it will work with that content, with that data within that conversation. But close that conversation and it's gone. Every new session starts from scratch. There's no accumulated understanding of your organization, your sites, your incident history, your patterns over time. You're not building anything persistent. It's useful in that moment, in that conversation, but it doesn't really learn. So the real question isn't, can it see my data? It can. The question is, can it know my organization? And the honest answer is it sort of can, but not really in a meaningful way. And there's a practical problem here that I don't think gets talked about enough. The moments where you'd most want that full organizational context, a real incident involving real people, are exactly the moments where sharing that information with an external AI tool creates a data protection issue. Incident reports almost always contain personal data, often health related. And under GDPR, that's special category data. And if you're uploading that information into a standard AI assistant, like a free version of ChatGPT, that data can be processed overseas on overseas servers and potentially used to train that AI model. So your confidential information, in theory, could help shape the answer someone else gets in the future. Now, you can manage this by choosing the right tools, configuring them properly, putting guardrails in place, but that takes deliberate decisions. It doesn't happen by default. And a similar thing applies to regulations. And again, yes, You can copy and paste in cost guidance, you can upload a HSC document, etc. ChatGPT will reason about that within that session, within that conversation. But to do that well, you already need to know which regulations apply. You need to have the current version, and as you know, these things do change. What ChatGPT won't do is flag when it's using out-of-date information. I find it often uses old information past its sell-by date, and you need enough domain knowledge to verify whether what it's telling you is actually correct. And then you need to do all of this again with each new conversation for every person on your team who uses it. Now, to be fair, there are advanced features like custom GPTs. There's a concept called projects. And then in Anthropic's Claude, a competitor to ChatGPT, they've got something called skills. And you can use these things to reduce some of that repetitive effort. They definitely help, but they're not the complete answer. Now, the third gap is the one that I find most concerning because it's least visible. AI tools make stuff up, or to use the technical term, they hallucinate. This is when they say something that's factually wrong, but presents it with exactly the same confidence as something that's correct. There's no warning, there's no indicator that says, I'm less sure about this one. And while the major providers, the technology companies, have reduced hallucination rates over time, they're still significant. Mistakes still happen. And I often get into arguments with ChatGPT over things that I know exist today, but it's telling me it doesn't, or the fact that it's 2026 and not 2025. And there's a bit of a paradox here, where some of the newer and more advanced AI reasoning models have sometimes shown higher hallucination rates. You'd expect things to go down over time, but sometimes they do go up. And in a safety context, that matters. If you're asking an AI to help interpret a regulation, summarize an incident, or crunch through your data, and it gets something wrong but sounds completely certain, the person reading that output may not catch it, especially if they're not a domain expert. Now, there's techniques to mitigate this and reduce the risk, such as prompting strategies, quality gates, obviously review processes that you can put in place to check the content, but it takes effort, knowledge, and discipline. And most teams probably aren't there yet. So those three gaps, memory, regulatory knowledge, and hallucinations, they create real exposure, and the legal landscape is starting to catch up. A UK High Court case last year in London brought this into sharp focus. A barrister submitted 5 case citations that turned out to be completely fabricated, almost certainly generated by AI, though the court stopped short of confirming that. The judge did call it wholly improper and refer the barrister to the Bar Standards Board. And there's been further documented incidents of AI hallucinations in UK courts and tribunals. The principle running through all of this is clear. You own the output, we own the output. And that applies just as much to safety decisions as it does to a legal finding. And on the data side, and I touched on this earlier, if you put in real incident data into ChatGPT, you're almost certainly processing special category health data under GDPR. And the ICO is clear on this. Data protection compliance doesn't disappear just because an AI tool is involved. And once that data has been processed through an external system, the right to erase can be difficult to enforce in practice unless you've got those safeguards in place that I covered earlier. And then in January this year, the HSE confirmed that many of us expected, existing UK health and safety law already applies to AI. Because the Health and Safety at Work Act is goal setting, it covers AI use in the workplace too, where AI use affects workplace health and safety. Employers need to assess the risk and put in place suitable controls. So what does a good alternative look like? Purpose-built platforms solve the gaps we've talked about. That's what you're looking for. And you're looking for the ones that do this properly. They're grounded in your data, so you're not starting from a blank slate every session. They reflect up-to-date regulatory knowledge that's maintained and verified, so you're not assembling that yourself. They have your business context baked in, your policies, your procedures, your ways of working. They have guardrails designed to reduce hallucination rates and verify outputs before they reach your team. and they produce audit trails. So if anyone asks, how did we arrive at this information, there's an answer to that. They keep your data within compliant regional boundaries with no overseas processing, and they don't use your data to train somebody else's AI. And everything sits inside your actual workflows rather than being bolted on via copy and paste. And that last point matters more than a lot of people think. The difference between AI that's embedded into your process and AI that requires someone to do things more manually, like copying and pasting text between browser tabs, is the difference between something that gets used consistently and something that gets abandoned after a month, especially when you start to scale out across your teams. But I want to be honest as well, purpose-built platforms that use AI aren't a magical switch. I know from my own experience, they take time to implement and get right. They need change management. They need to be kept up to date as regularly information changes and as the AI technology evolves. And they need good quality safety data to be meaningful. I'm also not suggesting that we stop using general purpose AI systems like ChatGPT. They're brilliant for lots of tasks that we covered earlier. This is about using the right tool for the right job and doing so safely. For me, at least, when the stakes are low, a general purpose tool is often fine, but when accuracy matters, when compliance matters, when you need an audit trail, that's where purpose-built solutions earn their place. So I want to give you a concrete example of what this looks like in practice. And yes, full transparency, this is what we're building here at Notify. So just take this as a practical illustration, not a sales pitch. And for those of you who aren't familiar with us, Notify is a cloud-based health and safety platform. We help organizations manage incidents, audits, inspections, risk assessments, actions, and documentation all in one place. And we work with organizations like Siemens, the Travis Perkins Group, and the NHS, and a range of companies around the world. And Notify Spark is my digital baby. It's an umbrella name for the AI capabilities we're embedding across the platform. And the key word here is embedding. This isn't AI bolted on the side. It sits directly inside workflows that our customers are already using every single day. We launched with Spark Incident Assist, which automatically generates post-incident summaries, executive briefings, safety briefings, toolbox talks, and it's used for root cause analysis as part of your incident investigation. It takes what used to be hours of manual write-up and can turn that into minutes or seconds. And because it's working from your actual incident data inside the platform, it's grounded, it's not guessing. We've since built Spark Action Suggester, which gives your teams AI-powered corrective and preventative action recommendations during audits, inspections, and investigations. And we're now building something called Spark Knowledge Base, which ingests your policies, your procedures, your ways of working, so that every Spark feature that we release becomes aware of how your organization actually works. And that's the client context piece I talked about earlier. It means the AI that we're building doesn't just know safety generically, it knows your safety. Now, these are early days for us. We're still iterating. We spend a lot of time with customers learning, and we've been very deliberate about where AI adds genuine value versus where it's just noise. But for me, the direction's clear. Purpose-built, safety-specific AI that's embedded into your workflows, grounded in your data, and compliant by design is where it's heading. So that's where I'll leave it. And like I said at the start, there isn't a one-size-fits-all. There isn't a right or wrong answer for everyone here. I see people doing amazing things with ChatGPT, and I see specialist tech companies doing amazing things with AI. You just need to figure out what works best for you and your business. So thank you, everyone, for your time. I'm happy to take any questions.
Right on time, Andy. Very good. Thank you very, very much. That's really interesting. We've had a lot of comments on your session, just saying that your content matches Paul's experience 100%. Janine agrees. It's exactly why customized AI tools are critical for success. And it's not just about the GDPR, it's for risk ratings, etc. So lots of people really enjoyed that and really resonated. So that's fantastic. We had a couple of comments on translation and one saying be very careful with AI. But Neil asks, what does good due diligence look like when selecting a system?
You'll get obviously stats from the company. I mean, we provide them when we're selling our stuff to show them how we've measured this and looked at the quality standards and so on. For me, the best thing is to try it out with your data, because no matter what we see as a supplier, your environment's going to be different to everyone else's environment. And you've got to test this stuff with your specific data, your specific environments, and see how it performs. Quite often, companies will give you the ability to pull some information out so you can measure the quality baseline that you're getting from it. We try and do that with our clients. And we go through an early stage where we're testing and measuring to make sure that what we've put in place will be hitting a minimum standard of quality, so it's meaningfully valuable when you deploy it. So for me, it is going through that sort of pre-stage to try things out before scaling it out across your business.
Excellent, thank you. I'm just looking at the comments. David's just said excellent presentation, really in-depth. Thank you. So yeah, lots of positive feedback there, which is lovely. Liz asks, is this something that would be beneficial for small businesses with less than 100 employees?
Well, in a general sense, yes. I think we're all being asked to do more with less in terms of budget and stuff like that. And quite often AI has been presented as a silver bullet. It's going to solve everything. For me, AI, I mean, I'm very pro AI. It's a great tool. And I think when it's used and deployed correctly, it can help any size business. Now, if you're a low risk business with only a handful of incidents and stuff, some of the things out in the market won't be suitable for you in terms of being able to pull out trend information and stuff like that. But there'll be other tools that will help you automate some of the manual stuff that sucks up your time. So in a general sense, definitely, no matter the size of the business. Again, it comes back to what's the problems that you want to solve. And we have these conversations internally where I run workshops just to understand where those time sinks are, the things that happen on a regular basis, and can we use technology, whether it's AI or other things that are in the mix, to shorten the time you've got to spend on things while maintaining the quality standards, or even bring the quality standards up.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions next. They're from two different people, but two parts to it.
Okay.
So Alan asks, are health and safety software provider companies using tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, etc., direct, or are they using hosted large language models like Azure or OpenAI?
There's a mixture out there. So for us, because our primary focus is the UK, we're using the ChatGPT API, but that's hosted via Microsoft Azure. And sorry to get technical here, but it's to make sure that the data stays within our region rather than going across the states to be processed. We've got full control over it. Plus, Microsoft being the brand it is. I mean, I love OpenAI, but I trust Microsoft more.
Yeah.
And we already use our tech stack. It works for us. Other companies are using this stuff direct. Some people are self-hosting as well. I mean, highly regulated environments, quite often they will self-host LLMs to make sure they've got full control over things. So it's a range out there.
Yeah, I've been speaking to a lot of people about this in the health and safety arena, and it's trust is the major issue, isn't it? So Ravindra asks, does AI have the capability to draft specialist risk assessments such as biological safety, genetic modification, or cost risk assessments? Or are specialist assessors in these areas still the best people to conduct these assessments?
There will be a limit to where the AI won't perform as well. I mean, you can do a lot of the technology where you can take the baseline LLM and you can add on top of it to train it to be specialist in an area. As long as there's enough high quality data, you can often use it to solve those niche problems. But still, you still need humans in the loop for this stuff. Even the AI can get you so far. Without that specialist knowledge, how do you verify that what AI is giving you is correct? So that's where it comes back to that collaborative AI human piece I talked about earlier.
Okay, excellent. Paul asks, have you got any thoughts on the move towards agentic AI, is that correct? Such as Microsoft is pushing. How do you see the trajectory for agentic?
Agentic solutions for me are where you blend AI with workflows, either through automation or built into your code, where it's using AI as part of the thinking process. So you might have traditional technology that will pull your safety data from a database and use statistics to pull information together. And then you drop in a AI brain to reason about that information and pull out, it might be recommendations, insights, and so on. And for me, that's been one of the big turning points of the technology. I mean, I've been playing around with AI for a long time, and traditional AI, it's great, but it's expensive and it takes time to put in place, where you've got these big tech companies invest in billions. I mean, they talk about the investment every single week going into these businesses, and they're making that technology available to us. We can now tap into it through an API and bring that into our workflows and then create these agentic solutions. Again, it's finding the right tool for the right job. And I mean, internally, I always talk about this. There's no point in doing something unless it's creating real value. Otherwise, it's just, fun technology rather than meaningful stuff, So you've got to find the right use cases for it as well.
Absolutely. Faisal asks, on AI not having memory, is this even if you pay for it? They've had a different experience. Should they be worried?
No, I mean, with AI, so it has certain levels of memory. So when you pay for like ChatGPT, it'll start getting to know about you and the conversations you're having. You can build in more advanced features where you can make some repeatable things available to your team using things like custom GPTs and projects, where you can drop in your policies and stuff. So there is a middle ground where you can start using some of the more advanced features to bring that context in, so you're not starting from scratch every single time. But to get to what I classify as truly meaningful memory usage, you've got to build on top of the solution properly to be able to do that. So that's what we're doing, obviously, in the solutions that we offer. There's people that will have strong technical teams that will take AI solutions that are off the shelf and build on top of that, put a layer in place where you're getting this memory capability. So you can go that direction as well. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. Thank you. Finally, this is about paywalls, I guess. Can AI access sort of research reported in magazines that are only available to those paying a subscription?
It depends on the technology they use. So what's happened recently, after there's been loads of copyright cases and stuff where big tech companies have been taken to court. So they've started to establish commercial relationships with different data providers.
Okay.
So they can use the data and obviously access up-to-date information as well. So like OpenAI will have relationships with certain providers, Anthropic will have with different ones, Gemini and so on. And for me, I mean, I use it a lot for deep research. You can put it into a deep research mode where you tell it, this is what we want you to find out. Only use credible sources, and it'll go off and pull the information back. And you've got to get used to where the different tools perform. I mean, I use them all, so I'm getting familiar with them. You'll find ChatGPT works well in certain contexts, but not so well in other ones, and vice versa. Claude will give you a better experience in other domains as well.
Yeah, I've heard that Claude is better. I use ChatGPT, but I'm going to explore Claude because I've heard that crop up a lot, actually, that it's better. So, okay, that's brilliant. Thank you, Andy. That's given us a massively useful insight into AI. I know it's the hottest topic in OSH at the moment. So thank you so much for your time today, and thank you to Notify for sponsoring that session. In our next session at 11:25, we will be continuing that theme with Lucas Dominguez, CEO of Shield 360, who will be exploring how we can move from paper to digital. So we'll see you in 10 minutes. Go and grab a coffee, and we'll see you back here.